Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming MCS exams happening in November 2025. My name is Nick and I'm one of the lead tutors and evaluators for MCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. First things first, I'm going to share some tips which will ensure that you overcome the failures which you experienced in your previous sitting. I know for a fact that some of you who are attending this webinar sat for the MCS exams, which happened in August 2025. Yet, unfortunately, you could not clear the examination. So I will be sharing, certain tips to make sure that you avoid these pitfalls when conducting preparations focused on the upcoming MCS exams, which are happening in November and February. And then I will be directing your attention towards an answering and time management technique. After I've taught you these two techniques, I will take you through mock exam 1, thereby explaining how to implement answering and time management techniques in a practical manner. And before we get into the technicalities, let me quickly remind you of the upcoming webinars and workshops we have scheduled for you. So the fourth webinar is happening next Sunday at 9 GMT or 10 AM UK, in which I'm going to share with you stress management techniques. So in this webinar, in today's webinar, you will be learning answering and time management techniques. And in the fourth webinar, you will be learning stress management techniques as well. And whenever you are attempting your mock exams, your objective should be to practice answering, time management, and stress management techniques. If you do so, you won't struggle at your real examination. And also in the fourth webinar, I will take you through examiners' comments, which are based on the exam blueprint, thereby highlighting what the examiner expects from you. And once we are done with the webinar series, we are kickstarting the workshop series. And in each workshop, I will take you through each pillar concerning your F2, P2, and E2 syllabi. And at the same time, I will take you through a mock exam, which is taken from each pillar, and explain how you should structure your answers or develop answer plans. And in each of these workshops, I will be conducting a Q&A. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can always get them addressed at these workshops. And in the final workshop, which happens just 2 or 3 days before the examination, I will be sharing last minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into the exam with a high level of confidence, believing in your skill set. Because if you believe in yourself, if you're confident, then you will definitely pass this exam comfortably. I'm not the person who's saying it. It's the examiner who tells us this fact. So I hope you will attend these future webinars and workshops without fail as well, which is the best way to learn technicalities behind your exam. And at the same time, you will benefit from getting in touch with me on a weekly basis, which is the best way to keep tabs about your performance at the end of each week. And having said that, let's try to understand what you should do to rebound from failure. So, before you start your preparations focused on the upcoming exams, you need to first things first figure out what went wrong last time. So, with this in mind, you need to conduct your own personal reflection when doing so. Be honest to yourself and try to figure out whether you gave your best shot or not. In a little while, I'm going to share some shortcomings which students usually face when conducting their preparations. And when I'm done with this, a set of shortcomings, try to figure out whether you experienced the same problems when conducting preparations. And then you have to take steps to overcome these issues. Because if you keep repeating the same mistakes over and over, you will get similar marks. Therefore, you will end up failing this exam in the future as well. So first things first, before you start your preparations, you need to conduct a personal reflection and figure out what went wrong last time. So you need to diagnose the reasons and address them this time. And also with the intention of understanding how you should have tackled each syllabus area, how you should have developed your answers or structured your answers, refer to the mock exams, the suggested answers and the answer plans. Then you will understand how each syllabus area is tested, how you should develop answers concerning each conceptual element. Because if you know how to approach each conceptual element, if you know how to structure your answers, if you know which points to include in your answers and how many points you should include based on the mark allocations, then you will easily pass this examination. And therefore, this time's action plan should be to work smarter than the previous attempt. So I'm not asking you to work harder. I'm asking you to work smart. And the easiest way to make sure that you go through all mock exams, conduct your revision appropriately, is simply to stick to the study plan, because as per our study plan, you are not supposed to do too much. We have done all the hard yards. We have made sure to cover all syllabus areas across the mocks. So you need not worry about syllabus coverage. And on top of that, we have developed some additional resources, especially focused on those who had failed the exam previously, such as the master classes and the answer plans. And if you stick to our study plan, you just need to dedicate something like 7 to 9 hours of study time per week. And in each week, you are supposed to master one mock exam, not just attempt the weekly mock exam. You are supposed to conduct revision based on the same weekly mock exam. When you go through this process, by the time you are done with your preparations, you will have a sound understanding of how to approach each syllabus area, how to structure your answers properly, and if so, you will easily pass this examination. And then let's try to understand the common reasons which leads to a failure. So the biggest issue is the fact that most students who end up failing attempt just 2 or 3 mock exams. So if you had referred to past exam variants or past papers, you would have seen that the examiner develops 6 different variants or 6 different papers. Why is the examiner developing 6 papers? Why not just 3 papers? The examiner is actually forced to develop 6 papers with the intention of covering all syllabus areas. So the examiner cannot cover everything which is contained within the E2, F2, and P2 syllabi just by developing 3 papers. That is why you, in each sitting, you will see that there are 6 different papers which are being developed based on one single pre-scene. So when conducting your preparations, if the examiner, with the intention of covering all syllabus areas, is into developing 6 papers, when conducting your preparations, you should make up your mind to attempt 6 mock exams this time, because if you don't do so, you will have knowledge gaps. You won't have a good understanding of how each syllabus area can be tested at your examination. And if so, you are going to struggle at your real exam. So rather than testing your luck at your real examination, rather than walking into your exam with knowledge gaps, it's essential when conducting preparations to go through 6 mock exams with the intention of understanding how each syllabus area can be tested. And this is relevant for all students, both types of students who are coming through the general route as well as the exemption routes. Because sometimes students think, especially those who are coming through the general route, they think that they have already learned theory. So because of that, by attempting just 2 or 3 mock exams, they can easily pass this exam. But that is not going to be the case, because the way in which your knowledge is tested at the MCS exam is quite different to that of OTQ examinations. So if you look at OTQs, for instance, if your knowledge concerning transfer pricing is tested at OTQ exams, you are supposed to compute and determine the transfer price, the most appropriate transfer price. So you are supposed to work out a number and present it as the final answer. However, in this examination, you are not supposed to do any calculations. Instead, you are supposed to explain how a transfer pricing system should work. So when it comes to explaining, it's a bit tough compared to you just having to do some calculations when attempting your OTQs. So the same knowledge area which you have learned under your P2 syllabus, under the OTQs, is tested with a different angle, with a practical angle. So because of that, it's essential that you gain a good understanding of how each syllabus area is tested and get your bearings with how to, approach each syllabus area. That is why it is a must that you attempt 6 mock exams this time. If not, you will be testing your luck once more at your real examination. And another problem is the fact that most students do not practice mocks under simulated exam conditions. So I've dealt with students. I actually, called multiple individuals last Thursday who ended up failing the examination, who got in touch with us. And when having a chat with them, what I understood is, most students, when it comes to mock attempts, they have not attempted each mock under exam conditions. Instead, they have, just either gone through the questions and the suggested answers of mock exams without really attempting them, or even when you attempted the mock exams, these students have attempted section number 1 of a certain mock exam today, section number 2 tomorrow, section number 3 day after tomorrow, and likewise. But at the exam, you have to sit in one place across 3 hours and attempt 4 sections one after the other. So it's a tough process. And if you do not practice under exam conditions, you are going to struggle at your real examination, especially towards the last 2 sections, because this is when fatigue sets in. When fatigue sets in, your brain is asking you to give up. And when this is the case, there's a tendency for students to come up with rushed answers, which are not well thought out, or students experience something called brain freeze. This is a situation where you can't think. You're trying to come up with an answer, but nothing comes into your head. So all these problems, I want you to encounter all these problems when conducting your preparations, rather than facing them for the first time at your real examination. So that is why it's essential that you attempt all 6 mock exams under exam conditions, with the prime intention of mastering your answering, time management, and stress management techniques under exam conditions. Because if you get your bearings with the answering, time management, and stress management techniques when conducting preparations, then you won't struggle at your exam. You will develop well-structured answers, you will never run out of time, and you will never be exposed to stressful situations because you have practiced these elements way before the examination. So it's essential that you practice mocks under exam conditions. And if you are still thinking of passing this exam simply by reading through the questions and suggested answers, you are going to repeat this exam, because I'm yet to find a student who has passed this examination simply by reading through the mock exams and suggested answers. Because yes, by reading through the suggested answers, something goes into your head, but you need to practice your answering technique. You need to practice whether you are capable of coming up with similar points and structuring your answers in a similar manner, which are akin to an answer plan. So this is where practice comes into play, because if students can easily pass this exam simply by reading the questions and suggested answers, then everybody is going to pass the MCS exam. So this is a tough exam. Your knowledge is tested in a practical manner. So you have to be serious this time. You have to stick to our study plan. I'm going to explain what you're supposed to do in a little while when I'm explaining the answering and time management techniques. And you're supposed to practice these elements under exam conditions. If not, you will struggle at your real exam. And also, most students are clueless of how to structure their answers. And at the same time, since they are clueless of answer structuring methodologies, they run out of time at their real exam. So 99% of the students out there, what they do is, right after reading through the scenario, they start typing the fully fledged answer. The problem with this is the fact that you are not spending some time to plan out your answer, which you should do. It is a must that you plan, you spend some time to plan your answer, thereby taking steps to determine what you should include within each answer. So rather than doing this, most students, what they do is, right after reading through the scenario, they will start typing their final answer in paragraph form. And halfway through the answer, whenever these students realize that they are headed in the wrong direction, or their answer is not aligned with the requirement, they end up deleting the entire answer and they have to start from scratch. And when this happens, your brain will constantly keep reminding you of the fact that you have wasted time. And when this is the case, you will panic. Panic leads to brain freeze. And when this is the case, you are definitely going to mismanage your time, especially due to undue stress levels. So with the intention of ensuring that you manage your time appropriately, with the intention of ensuring you have the capability of structuring your answers appropriately, it's essential that you learn an answering and time management technique, which I'm going to highlight in today's webinar. And just learning these techniques won't help. You have to practice these techniques under exam conditions in order to master them. If so, you will develop well-structured answers at your exam and you are never going to run out of time. And also, when marking your papers, I've understood that there appears to be gaps in theory knowledge, especially when it comes to those who are coming through exemption routes. So if you are coming through an exemption route, you will be somewhat comfortable with your E2 related elements, which are connected to the HR aspects of an organization, such as how to motivate people, how to manage conflicts, how to communicate appropriately, how to provide leadership, how to conduct negotiation with various different stakeholders, how to manage various different stakeholders. So all these things are covered in your ET syllabus, and you are somewhat comfortable with these areas. But when it comes to P2 and F2, you see a lot of technical knowledge areas being tested. So most students who are coming through exemptions, they struggle with P2 and F2. And if you have knowledge gaps, you are not going to pass this exam, because at this exam, 50% of weightage is provided towards testing your theory knowledge, and 50% of weightage is provided towards testing your application skills. So if you don't know your theories, you are going to struggle at your exam. So it's essential that you take steps to overcome these knowledge gaps in the upcoming 5 weeks. If not, you are going to struggle at your exam. So although this is the case, don't worry, especially focused on those who are coming through the exemption routes. We have developed master classes and answer plans, and the prime objective of developing these master classes is to explain the logic behind each of the answers concerning each of our mock exams. Whilst teaching you the logic behind each answer, we are teaching you the relevant theoretical element covered within the mock exam, and at the same time, we are teaching you application. So in a little while, when I'm taking you through the mock exam, you will realize what is contained within the master classes. And if you want to learn theories and improve application skills, you can achieve these things easily simply by watching the master classes. You need not waste time to learn theory on your own and then figure out application. We have covered both these elements within the master classes, and by watching these master classes, you can overcome your knowledge gaps and significantly improve your application skills. And also, another shortcoming faced by many students who end up failing this exam is the fact that they rely on past exam variants or past papers. So I've, even when I called you guys last Thursday, I encountered the same problem. Most of you who had failed this exam has relied on past exam variants. So the past exam variants are based on a totally different pre-scene, and the way in which each knowledge area can be tested is quite different to that of this time's pre-scene compared to the previous pre-scenes. So if you look at this time's pre-scene, there's we are operating in a static environment. There's not a lot of competition, and because of that, there aren't many diversification opportunities. But if you look at last time's pre-scene, which was based on Tremere, there were hordes of diversification opportunities. So the way in which your knowledge concerning diversification and how these type of diversifications are going to impact the business model, as well as how it is going to expose the company towards various different risks, are quite different to that of this time's company compared to the previous companies. So if you try to rely on past exam variants and try to learn theory based on past exam variants, try to improve your application based on past exam variants, you will be misdirected, because unless and otherwise you have an in-depth understanding of a previous pre-scene, you won't really understand the logic behind each suggested answer concerning past exam variants. So don't waste your time, because you simply have 5 weeks at your disposal. So within these 5 weeks, rather than doing unnecessary or carrying out unnecessary initiatives, you need to really focus on conducting preparations based on exam standard and pre-scene specific mock exams. And also, even if you attempt our 6 mock exams, you won't pass this exam if you don't spend time to revise. So it's essential that you take steps to redevelop answer plans. You will understand what an answer plan should look like in a little while, because that is exactly what I'm going to teach you when teaching you answering technique. So after attempting each mock exam, watch the master classes to learn theory and improve application. once you have learned theory and application, you need to redevelop answer plans on your own. Do it leisurely. Do not time it, when you are redeveloping answer plans, because when it comes to redeveloping answer plans, your objective is to refine your answering technique. Your objective is to figure out whether you have gained something via the master classes. Your objective is to figure out whether you are capable of including the same type of points which appear within TCS's answer plans. Because if you are in a position to replicate TCS's answer plans on your own, you are going to gain extremely good marks at your exam. So lack of revision is one of the major problems. So just because you attempt the 6 marks, you won't pass. Instead, you need to take some time to refine your skill set, because the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge. The examiner is testing whether you have improved your skill set and you have improved your application skills. And the only way to refine your application skills is to redevelop answer plans on your own. And non-adherence to a study plan is a problem as well. So that is why we have shared an 8-week study plan with you. And, at this juncture, if you feel that you need a personalized study plan, drop us a message via the WhatsApp number, which I'm going to share towards the very end of today's webinar. Drop us a message. We will definitely share a 5.5 study plan with you. And if you stick to the study plan, you will make sure that you conduct all preparations with the intention of passing your upcoming exam once and for all. So these are the common reasons which leads to a failure. And I hope you know what you need to do to overcome these failures. And I expect you to, when conducting your personal reflection, when you are trying to figure out what went wrong last time, go through these points which I've highlighted and try to figure out whether you experienced these points. And if you did experience these points, now you know how to overcome these pitfalls in the upcoming 5 weeks. All right, having said that, let's move on to the answering technique. So when developing your answers, you are supposed to adhere to a certain methodology with the intention of ensuring that you gain the full amount of marks which are dedicated for each subtask. So first things first, when it comes to your answering technique, when it comes to how you should develop your answers, you are supposed to use appropriate headings and subheadings. So if you look at this, mock exam, I'm taking you through mock number 1, section number 1. So in here, you can see that there are 2 subtasks, subtask A and subtask B. So if there are 2 subtasks, you in your final answer, you need to come up with 2 main headings which are in bold and underlined format. So that is exactly what you can see here. For the answer concerning subtask A, I've come up with a main heading which is in bold and underlined format, business risks. And then concerning the second subtask, which is based on the business model of your chosen company, again, I've come up with a main heading which is in bold and underlined format. So if there are 2 subtasks within a section, there should be 2 main headings. And on the other hand, if there are 3 subtasks within a section, then in your final answer, there should be 3 main headings, and each main heading should be in bold and underlined format. And if necessary, if you feel that you need to further fraction out your answer, then you are invited to use subheadings, and these subheadings should be in bold format. So the main headings should be in bold and underlined format, and subheadings should be in bold format. And depending on the number of subtasks, you are supposed to determine how many main headings you should include within your answer. And when you do this, it makes the life of the marker easy to figure out the alignment of your answers to each requirement. And do not name a main heading such as task A, task B, and whatnot, because as I mentioned in the first 2 webinars, the examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So when you are responding to an email which you receive from your superior, you are never going to mention about a task. Instead, you will definitely come up with appropriate main headings. So that's the exact same methodology which you should practice at this exam. And when developing your answers, your final answer should be in paragraph form. And per point, you need to develop a paragraph. So if you look at this final answer, you can see that the entire answer is in paragraph form. So per valid point, you need to develop a paragraph. So let's assume you, for subtask A, you intended to include, or you decided to include 7 valid points. If so, in your final answer, you should have 7 different paragraphs. By doing so, you are again helping the marker, because the marker can easily count the number of paragraphs you have included in the answer and easily figure out how many points you have included. And when marking your paper, let's assume your first paragraph is accurate, the marker can easily denote the marks. And looking at the second paragraph, part of it is accurate and part of it is inaccurate, then again the marker can easily denote the marks which are dedicated for each and every paragraph. Don't write the entire answer within one single paragraph, because if you do so, the examiner or the marker will have to spend some time to pick and select how many points you have included within your answer. And although you are supposed to take 3 hours of your time to attempt the entire paper, the marker takes only 10 to 12 minutes to mark your paper. So within 10 to 12 minutes, when the marker has to, grade you, and on top of that, always remember, the marker is not just marking your paper. The marker is, marking hordes and hordes of papers in one single day. And, it's an extremely stressful job. Believe me, it's an extremely stressful job. So it's better to be in the good books of the marker rather than, stressing out your marker, because if your marker is stressed out, then your marks might be impacted in an adverse manner. So it's better to be in the good books of your marker, because let's assume you got 78 marks, you're short by just 2 marks. If you are in the good books of your marker, then the marker might give you the 2 additional marks. I'm not saying that it is a certainty, but this might happen because everything, we are dealing with human beings. So if you are in the good books of someone, definitely this individual is going to reciprocate, therefore help us. Okay, so always make sure, develop paragraphs based on the number of points you intend to include in each subtask. So let's assume within the first subtask, if you intended to include 10 points, then in your final answer there should be 10 different paragraphs. And in subtask B, let's assume you intended to include 8 points, then in your final answer you need to have 8 different paragraphs. Don't write the entire answer as one single paragraph. Okay, so that's the second point. And the third point is with regards to time management. So as you know, the time allocation for each section is 45 minutes. So you should know how you should manage these 4 slots of 45 minutes each. So first things first, you are supposed to read through the entire scenario within 5 to 7 minutes. If you're struggling with this, if you're struggling to read through the entire scenario within 5 to 7 minutes, it indicates the fact that you need to improve your reading speed. And the easiest way to do so is to start reading. So, you can purchase a book or purchase the Sunday newspaper and dedicate 30 minutes to 60 minutes on a daily basis towards reading. Because if you read something for 30 to 60 minutes on a daily basis, you will see a significant improvement in your reading speed. And this improvement will ensure that you are capable of reading through the entire scenario within just 5 to 7 minutes. And after you have read through the scenario, then you need to focus your attention towards developing an answer plan. So the answer plan should look something like this. So this is a skeleton of your answer. As you can see, this is not in paragraph form. This is in bullet points. And you see a lot of single line sentences. So you are trying to figure out which points you should include in your answer. And at the same time, you are trying to figure out how you should structure your answer. This is exactly what you do at office if you receive an email which carries a lot of information. Because when responding to your superior, you have to make sure that you have covered the requirement, and at the same time, you have to make sure that you have covered everything which appeared within, all the information which appeared within the email. So that is exactly why, just like what you do at office, just like how you would structure your responses before finalizing your response, you need to develop answer plans and you are supposed to develop answer plans focused on all subtasks within 20 minutes. So in this section, there are 2 subtasks. So within 20 minutes, you should develop both these answer plans. I'm not asking you to develop one single answer plan, move towards expanding it in paragraph form, and then coming back to answer planning once more. You should not do so. Instead, develop the answer plans focused on all subtasks within 20 minutes. And once you're done with it, utilizing your remaining time, which could be 15 to 20 minutes of your time, you are supposed to expand your answer plan in paragraph form. So this is an answer skeleton, an answer plan. You need to flesh out this answer skeleton or expand this answer plan in paragraph form. So although your plans should look like this, your final answer should be in paragraph form. Always remember this, because you are not going to get any marks if the marker sees just the answer plan. So although I'm asking you to develop answer plans within 20 minutes, when you try to practice this technique for the first time, definitely you are going to run out of time. You will take 40 minutes to develop one single answer plan. That's quite normal. That's totally fine, because with practice, you can significantly improve this technique. So although I'm asking you to develop answer plans within 20 minutes, you will definitely take 40 minutes to develop answer plans. However, with practice, you will see a significant improvement in your answering technique. So that is why I said at the inception of today's webinar, I mentioned the fact that just because you learn the answering and time management techniques, it does not mean that you are going to successfully implement them at your exam. So with the intention of implementing these techniques in a successful manner at your examination, you have to practice these techniques whenever you are attempting a mock exam. Because take it from me, you will never have the capability to develop answer plans within 20 minutes unless and otherwise you practice this technique over and over across the 6 mocks which we have developed. And also in terms of typing speed, you need to achieve a minimum word count of 20 words per minute. You should have the capability of typing 20 words per minute. And if you feel that your typing speed is slow, again, you need to practice your typing. So just like how I explained how you should improve your reading speed, when it comes to typing, purchase your weekend newspaper and dedicate 30 minutes of your time on a daily basis and type what appears on the newspaper on your computer or your laptop. It's essential that you improve your typing speed, because if you're struggling with this, you are definitely going to run out of time at your exam. So if you're struggling with reading as well as typing speed, don't worry. Focus on reading by dedicating 30 minutes on a daily basis. Dedicate again 30 minutes towards practicing your typing. When you do so, you will overcome these issues, because typing and reading comes down to muscle memory, and therefore our answering and time management techniques come down to muscle memory as well. So that is why I want you guys to practice, because with practice you will improve these techniques significantly. And also, when developing your answer plans, before you develop your answer plans, you need to understand how much marks are allocated for each and every subtask. So if you look at this section, there are 2 subtasks, and the weightage for subtask A is 60%, and the weightage for subtask B is 40%. So this gives you a clear indication of how many marks are dedicated for each subtask. So before you develop the answer plan, first things first, you need to understand mark allocations based on the weightages provided. So you can see as to how I've handled or tackled this situation. So as you know, for each section, the total mark allocation is 37.5 marks per section. And 60% of 37.5 marks come up to 22.5 marks in total, and 40% of 37.5 marks come up to 16.5 marks in total. So when you know the mark allocations, then your next step should be to determine how many points you should include to score 22.5 marks for this first subtask. So in order to determine how many answer points you should include in your answer, divide 22.5 by 3. You get an answer which is 7.5, or we can round it up to 8. And again, divide 22.5 by 2, then you get an answer of 11. So if you come up with 8 to 11 valid points for subtask A, you are going to get full marks. So how are you supposed to determine the number of points? Divide the mark allocation 22.5 by 3 and then divide 22.5 by 2 because each valid point carries 2 or 3 marks. So when you come up with these calculations, you arrive at answers which are 8 and 11. So as long as you come up with 8 to 11 valid points, given the fact that each valid point carries 2 or 3 marks, you will end up scoring 22.5 marks. Similarly, focused on subtask B, the mark allocation is 16.5 marks. So divide 16.5 by 3, which comes up to 5.5, let's say 6. And then divide 16.5 by 2, which comes up to 8. So if you come up with, or if you include 6 to 8 valid points for the second subtask, you will score full marks. All right, so that's how you are supposed to determine mark allocations, and based on these mark allocations, you are supposed to determine how many points you should include in each subtask. When you stick to this methodology, you are making sure to develop an answer which is 100% aligned with mark allocations, and therefore your answer will not be too short or too long. When dealing with students, most of you are clueless of the length of your answer. Most students are saying, at the examination, I was struggling to determine whether I've developed an appropriate answer, whether I've included all the points or not. So rather than shooting in the dark, it's best to determine mark allocations based on the weightages. And when you know mark allocations, you are supposed to determine how many points you need to include in each answer. When you do so, you are developing answers which are strictly aligned to the mark allocations or the weightages indicated in each and every subtask. All right, so that's another point which you need to remember. And do not spend time on formatting because the only type of formatting which you need to focus on is with regards to coming up with main headings which are in bold and underlined format and subheadings in bold format. Along with it, per answer point, develop a paragraph. Other than that, don't worry about any type of formatting such as paragraph alignment, your font sizes, fonts, and whatnot. These things are irrelevant at your exam. And always focus on quality, not quantity. I've seen so many tutors out there mentioning a specific word count to gain an X amount of marks, which is totally inaccurate. Because as I mentioned earlier, the examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So in a real-life corporate environment, is your superior going to look at the quality of your response, or is your superior going to count the number of words in your response? The superior is never going to count the number of words because this is not an academic qualification. This is a professional qualification. And when you were involved with your academic studies, you are supposed to do up assignments and whatnot. And these assignments carry a word limit or a word count. But in here, at this exam, since the examiner is trying to test your knowledge in a practical manner, since the examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment, don't think in terms of the word count. As long as your points are valid, then you will get good marks. So that is why you need to stick to our answering technique, because if you do so, you will get marks based on quality, not based on quantity. All right, so then let's try to figure out the steps which you need to adhere to when developing your answers. So as I mentioned earlier, read the scenario within 5 minutes. So when it comes to reading the scenario, you have to go through all these information along with what appears within the reference material. So you can take 7 minutes as well. That's not a problem, but you can't exceed 7 minutes because you have to have the capability of reading through the entire scenario within 5 to 7 minutes. And after you have read through the entire scenario, you are supposed to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a simple manner. So what am I talking about? So let's look at these two subtasks. So let's direct our attention towards the second subtask, which is quite long. Secondly, recommend with reasons the changes that Ressett will need to make to the defining value and delivering value elements of its business model to adapt to the entry into the PC repair and servicing market. So remember, you are operating under in a time pressured environment. When you're operating in a time pressured environment and when you have to go through requirements which are extremely long, this does not help you. This will expose you to additional levels of stress. So with the intention of gaining a clear understanding of what this requirement is, you are supposed to simplify this requirement in your own words in a concise manner. So that's exactly what you can see here, changing the business model. So keep it simple, because this talks about how two parts of the business model is poised to change with regards to defining value and delivering value. So this is testing your knowledge about how the new line of business is going to change the existing business model. So that's why I've kept it simple. And doing this will ensure, first things first, that you are gaining a clear understanding of what you're expected to achieve. And at the same time, whilst developing the answer plan, let's assume you are halfway through the answer plan. Okay, you are somewhere here. And we are in section number 2. Yes. Okay, you are somewhere here. You need to figure out whether you are headed in the correct direction, whether or you need to check whether you are developing an answer plan which is aligned with the requirement. So when you have access to an extended requirement, it will take some time to figure out whether you are developing an answer which is aligned with the requirement or not. So with the intention of ensuring that you can easily check the relevance of your answer compared to the requirement, when you have access to a simplified requirement, it makes your life easy. So with the intention of gaining a good understanding of each requirement, and at the same time with the intention of ensuring that you can easily check whilst developing the answer plan, you can easily check whether you are developing an answer which is aligned with the requirement, you are supposed to simplify the requirement, each requirement in your own words. And let's look at the first requirement. Firstly, identify and explain the business risks that can arise from entering this new line of business and suggest how they can be mitigated. So there are two elements to this question: identify business risks and then suggest how they can be mitigated. So it's essential that you simplify this requirement, because if you don't do so, since you're operating under exam stress, you might only cover half of the requirement. So when marking your papers, I've encountered these problems. When you are under stress, you will forget about the second element, which is to suggest how these risks can be mitigated. So in your answer, you will only include about the risk identification related answer. You will miss out on risk mitigation. So in order to avoid these shortcomings, simplify the requirement, risks of entering a new line of business, and mitigation. Then you know for a fact that you are supposed to look at two different angles. All right, so that's the second step. You are supposed to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a concise manner. And once you're done with it, develop the headings and subheadings. So as I mentioned earlier, if there are two sections, two subtasks, then you need to come up with two main headings which are in bold and underlined format. And in certain sections, you will see three subtasks. If so, you need to come up with three main headings which are in bold and underlined format. So after you have developed your headings and subheadings, then you should proceed towards developing the answer plan, and you should take 20 to 25 minutes to develop the answer plans focused on all subtasks which appear within a certain section. And before you start to develop the answer plan, determine mark allocations based on the weightages. I explained how to do this a little while back. So based on the weightages, determine mark allocations. Based on the mark allocations, determine how many points you should include under each subtask, considering the fact that each valid point carries 2 or 3 marks per answer point. And when developing the answer plan, do it on the answer screen itself. Do not use the scratch pad. I'm going to explain this point in depth in a little while, because I'm going to take you through the exam platform, thereby explaining how your exam platform works. So when I'm explaining these things, I will explain as to why you are not supposed to develop the answer plan on the scratch pad. Instead, develop the answer plan on the answer screen itself. And once you have, finalized your answer plan, your next step should be to expand the answer plan, which should take 15 to 20 minutes of your time. And when it comes to expanding the answer plan, you are supposed to develop a paragraph per answer point. So as I mentioned earlier, if you intended to include 6 valid points within a certain answer plan, then in your final answer, there should be 6 different paragraphs. So always remember, this is just a plan. This should not be your final answer. Your final answer should be in paragraph form. And also, by sticking to this technique in which you are supposed to read for 5 minutes, then plan for 20 minutes and utilize the remaining 20 minutes or focus the remaining 20 minutes towards typing. When you stick to this process, you are not trying to multitask, because when you're operating in a stressful situation, when you're operating in a time pressured environment, do not try to multitask. You are going to fail miserably. So with the intention of ensuring that your brain is functioning properly, especially given the fact that you are stressed a lot, focus on this element, because if on these techniques, because if you do so, you are reading for 5 minutes, then you are directing your attention towards planning, and towards the last 15 to 20 minutes, you are focusing your attention towards typing. But most students out there, they try to read, plan, as well as type, or do these 3 activities together. And because of that, they will be exposed to extreme levels of stress. So with the intention of managing your stress levels, it's essential that you stick to these techniques and these answer planning steps. All right. So before I take you through the answer concerning mock exam 1, section 1, subtask A, I'm going to highlight how your exam platform works, because it's essential that you gain a good understanding of the technicalities behind the Pearson VUE system on which you attempt your real exam. Because some students, they struggle with this platform. Because of that, they run out of time, or they are exposed to undue levels of stress. So at TCS, as you know, we have developed the exact same replica of the Pearson VUE system, with the intention of ensuring that you have the capability of practicing your mock attempts under exam conditions, which paves way for you to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques in the most appropriate manner. So when you start a mock exam, you will get you will gain access to a page such as this, which gives you a summary of the number of sections which are contained within your paper, as well as the the time allocations, along with there's an indication about the number of subtasks and the weightages. And when you press begin, you will be directed to the question page concerning mock 1, and we are in mock 1 section number 1. So as you can see, you will see a timer which starts from 45 minutes and it runs down to 0. And you see a section number as well. Out of 4 sections, we are in section number 1. And also you will see 4 different buttons. So by clicking on the calculator button, if you want to do some calculations, you can do so. At this exam, you are not expected to do major calculations. You might have to rework a post-investment gearing ratio. Other than that, it's highly unlikely that you have to do any calculations. So at the exam, you cannot have your phones or your calculators with you. So that is why the Pearson system carries its own calculator pop-up. And also you have access to a scratch pad. So if you want to, whilst reading through the scenario, if you feel like you need to jot down important information, you can do so utilizing this scratch pad. And also within the same page, you have access to the reference material and the pre-seen document. So this is how these pop-ups work. So once you click on the reference material button, a pop-up will appear towards the right side of your answer screen. And this pop-up is movable. If you want, you can move it. And at the same time, when you click on the pre-seen button, you will gain access to your pre-seen document. And within the pre-seen pop-up, you can see that there is a separate tab, which is termed task. So if you click on this, you will see the same task which appears on your question screen. So what you need to remember is the fact that when you are using this exam platform, you have access to the reference material, the pre-seen, as well as the task requirement. And once you have read through all these things, once you click on next, you will be directed to the answer screen. and you see the same functionality, same type of buttons. You can see the timer running out as well as the section number. And you are supposed to develop the answer plan in here. Do not develop the answer plan on the scratch pad. Why am I asking you not to develop the answer plan on the scratch pad? With the prime intention of ensuring that you are not exposed to any undue levels of stress due to you having to shift between two different pages. So when you have to, some students develop the answer plan on the scratch pad, and once you have developed the answer plan on the scratch pad, and when it comes to expanding your answer plan in paragraph form, you are shifting between two screens, the scratch pad as well as the answer screen. So rather than having to shift between two screens, which is a cumbersome process, which might expose you to certain complexities, it makes it is prudent to develop the answer plan on the answer screen itself. Why am I asking you to develop the answer plan on the answer screen? Because you are not typing out your final answer. When it comes to structuring your answer, you are simply coming up with bullet points or coming up with short sentences. You are still trying to determine what you should include in your answer or plan out your answer whilst developing your answer plan. Since you have access to reference material, the pre-seen document, and the requirement, you can easily read through all the content which appears to the right of your screen whilst developing the answer plan onto the left of your screen. So within the answer screen itself, you have access to the reference material, the task or the requirement. So you need not go back to read through the requirement. You have access to the requirement on the answer screen itself. And also, as and when necessary, you can refer to the pre-seen when you are on the answer screen. So since you have access to the requirement or the task, the reference material, as well as the pre-seen, and all these pop-ups appear to the right of your screen, you can easily develop the answer plan whilst going through these documents on the answer screen itself. So if I, with the intention of explaining, I've simply come up with certain points. So the first requirement is tied to business risks, and therefore there's an I intended to include information about 3 different points. So I've simply mentioned 3 different points because I wanted to explain how this system works. So as you can see, when you are developing the answer plan to the left of your screen, you have access to all the information you need. So you need not close these pop-ups because you have enough space to develop the entire answer plan to the left of your screen. And always remember, there's no spell checker within the exam platform. So because of that, when you're typing something on a Word doc, there's a spell checker which reminds you of any spelling mistakes. But in here, in your exam platform, they have disabled the spell checker because, as you can see, I intended to type internals, but I've typed something else. Yet I don't know whether I've spelled this word properly or not. So always be mindful of this. And on top of that, you cannot copy some information and paste it on your answer screen. They have disabled the copy paste functions as well. All right. And once you are done with the requirement, you can click on submit answer. Then you will see this pop up. And irrespective of whether you click on yes or no, the timer keeps running. So I've dealt with students who try to be smarter than this Pearson system by for instance, they let's assume you are done with section number 1. You won't click on yes of the pop-up. You will take a break for about 2 minutes. And when you click on yes, and when you are directed to the next section, you will identify the fact that the timer starts running from 43 minutes because you have already spent 2 additional minutes. So there is no break between sections. Instead, the timer, when it runs out from 45 minutes to 0, then the timer starts running out once more in your subsequent section. And once you click on yes, you will be directed to section number 2. And when you are in section number 2, you cannot go back to the previous section. So that is exactly why when it comes to managing your time, when it comes to your answering technique, you need to think in terms of managing 45 minutes of your time rather than trying to manage 3 hours in its entirety, because this paper is divided into 4 main tasks. And once you're done with a certain task, you can't go back to the same task Instead, you have to focus your attention towards the current or the present task. All right, so that's how your exam platform works. I hope you got a good understanding of the technicalities behind your exam platform, and with the intention of getting your bearings with this exam platform, we have given you the opportunity of attempting mock number 1 under exam conditions. Even if you do not, if you have not invested on our paid content, even under the free content, you have access to our exam platform on which you can attempt mock number 1 in its entirety. All right, so having said that, before I take you through the mock paper, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the MCS page. If you're yet to create a free user account, click on this button and create a free account. Once you are done with it, you will gain access to the student dashboard. By clicking on this button, you can access the student dashboard, via which you will gain access to the recordings of weekly webinars and workshops. Mock number 1, it's questions, suggested answers, and the answer plan. And at the same time, you will gain access to our exam platform, via which you can attempt mock number 1 under exam conditions. And if you are interested in investing on our paid content, click on this button and check the sample material before you do so. And if you are yet to join the MCS WhatsApp discussion forum, click on this button and join it, because via this group, we will keep you guys informed of the weekly webinars and workshop commencement times and dates. And at the same time, we are always there. Myself and Jared, our co-tutor for MCS, are always there to help you guys out. So if you are yet to join this group, simply click on this button to join it. And talking about what we offer 2 packages, the essential course and the premium course. The essential course is designed for those who are coming through the general route, or those who have completed their E2, P2, and F2 OTQs. So if you are one such student, when conducting your preparation, since you have already learned theory, your focus should be towards improving your application skills, because if you fix your application, then you can easily pass this exam. So under the essential course, you would gain access to the recordings of all weekly webinars and workshops, 6 mock exams with suggested answers, which are prepared with the intention of covering all syllabus areas. You will also gain access to pre-scene analysis videos, the annotated pre-scene, and the industry and financial analysis slides. Let me quickly show you what these resources look like. So this is the annotated pre-scene. So as you can see, we have come up with tutor annotations with the prime intention of summarizing the entire pre-scene. And at the same time, we have indicated probable exam scenarios which can be tested based on the information presented, and therefore the examinable syllabus areas as well. And looking at the industry analysis slides, our slides are divided into 4 main parts. In the first part, we have defined your industry. In the second and third parts, we have indicated about trends, challenges, and opportunities faced by real-life companies which operate within your chosen industry. And based on these challenges, opportunities, and industry trends, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real exam. And towards the very end, considering a real-life company, we have explained how a real-life company operates within your chosen industry. And similarly, we have evaluated the financial statements, and therefore we have evaluated each financial statement of your chosen company, comparing it against the closest competitor. And when conducting these evaluations, we have made sure to keep things simple so that you can easily gain an understanding of the financial situation of your chosen company. So we have evaluated the SOFP, and at the end, we have conducted a ratio analysis, thereby comparing your performance against your closest competitors, so that you can easily understand the financial standing, the relative financial standing of your chosen company. All right, so these are the resources on offer under the essential course. You'd also gain access to top 10 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested at the exam. You will gain access to a case study familiarization kit. Once you have read through this kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you stand a chance to significantly improve your technical knowledge concerning your MCS exam. Also, you'd gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So since you have already completed your OTQs, after attempting a certain mock exam, if you feel that you need to brush up your knowledge, you can get it done in a jiffy simply by referring to our OTQ revision cards. So the essential course is priced at £249. And talking about the premium course, this is designed for students who are coming through the exemption routes and those who had failed the exam previously. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So which the prime intention of teaching you all conceptual elements which can be tested at the exam, and at the same time, which the intention of teaching you how to apply these conceptual elements, we have developed some additional resources and included them under premium on top of what appears within the essential course. So under the premium course, you will also gain access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt all 6 mocks under exam conditions. You will gain access to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams, which is going to be crucial for you, especially when conducting revision. In a little while, you are going to see how beneficial these answer plans are. Also, you will gain access to 20 master classes. So from mocks 2 to 6, we have developed master classes focused on each of our mock exams. So in each mock, there are 4 sections. 4 sections into 5 mocks come up to 20 sections in total. So focused on each section, we have developed these master classes with the objective of taking you through the logic behind each answer, and at the same time teaching you the theoretical elements covered within each mock, and also teach you application within the same video. And once you have gained access to these master classes, you will easily improve your theory knowledge, as well as you will overcome your application skills or application related issues. And also you will receive tutor feedback on mock number 4, and this is the type of feedback on offer. As you can see, we have evaluated each and every paragraph, each and every point in depth, making sure to highlight shortcomings, because the objective of opting for this type of feedback should be to understand your shortcomings. And when you understand your shortcomings, you can take steps to get rid of them when conducting your revision. So once you have received this type of feedback, you will know what your shortcomings are. And at the very end, we indicate the mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. We have also indicated a success rate as well, which clearly highlights the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. So after receiving tutor feedback, when conducting revision, your job should be to redevelop answer plans focused on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. Okay, so that's a type of feedback on offer. And after receiving tutor feedback for mock number 4, if you feel that you still need tutor feedback, you can opt for it concerning mocks 5 and 6 at £50 per mock exam. So we are not actually pressurizing you to go for too many feedback. If you're satisfied with your performance after you receive feedback for mock number 4, then you can forget about feedback with regards to mocks 5 and 6. But if you still want to get your papers marked, you can do so at £50 per answer script. So the price of the premium course is £699, which can be paid in 2 installments of £349 each, or you can pay in full. If so, you will benefit from a £100 discount. Therefore, the price is going to be just £599. So click on either of these buttons to invest on your preferred course. And all products are available until the 28th of February 2026. So if you are planning to sit for the MCS exams happening in Feb, you can invest right now and still have access in Feb, which gives you some additional time to conduct your revision in the most successful manner. And having said that, let me quickly direct your attention towards the MCS study plan, which can be accessed via the same web page. And let's see what you're supposed to achieve within this week. So we are in week number 3. So in the previous week, week number 2, you were supposed to gain an in-depth understanding of the pre-scene. Once you have decrypted pre-scene info, you are supposed to direct your attention towards mock attempts this week onwards. So this is the most hectic week if you look at our study plan, because from week 4 onwards, you are supposed to dedicate just 7 to 9 hours of study time on a weekly basis. But within this week, you are supposed to dedicate 12 hours of study time. Why is this the case? Because in this week, you are supposed to attempt 2 mock exams via the exam platform or under exam conditions. So you are supposed to attempt mock number 1 as well as mock number 2, which is going to take 6 hours. And after you have attempted these mock exams, after you have practiced the answering and time management techniques which we have learned, watch the 4 master classes which are focused on mock number 2. Don't worry about master classes concerning mock number 1, because these master classes are covered part by part one section will be covered in today's session, and the remaining sections will be covered in the upcoming workshops. So that's why you don't have access to the recorded versions of the workshops concerning mock number 1. Actually speaking, mock number 1 is to get your bearings with the answering and time management techniques. And once you have completed or attempted mock number 2, watch the 4 master classes to understand the logic behind each answer, to understand conceptual elements which are covered within the mock exam, and also to understand how to work on your application. And once you have watched these master classes, then test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans on your own to figure out whether you have gained something from these master classes. And once you have redeveloped the answer plans, compare them to TCS's answer plans to further refine your knowledge and answering technique. So in this week, it is essential that you attempt the first 2 mock exams. If not, you will run out of time as per the study plan. And if you stick to the study plan, from next week onwards, it's simply a matter of attempting a mock exam per week, conducting revision focused on the same mock exam. So you just need to dedicate 7 to 9 hours of your time. You need not do too much. As I mentioned earlier, we have made sure to cover all areas within the mocks. We have made sure to develop the answer plans and master classes focused on each mock exam. So your job is to attempt a mock exam per week from week 4 onwards and conduct revision focused on the same weekly mock exam. All right, so that's what we offer. Having said that, I'm directing your attention towards the last part of today's webinar, in which I'm going to discuss mock number 1, section 1, subtask A. All right, so let me quickly remind you of the answer planning steps whilst taking you through the answer plan concerning mock number 1. All right, so we are in section number 1 of mock 1. So the time allocation is 45 minutes. You received the following email from James, your senior finance manager, and the subject goes as diversification. So we are trying to diversify into a new market. Let's look at what this is all about. I have a major update. Over the past few months, the board has been evaluating various strategic options for Ressett, with the objective of ensuring the company's long-term survival in the highly competitive and stagnant PC retail market in Lamland. Yes, as you know, as I mentioned in last week's pre-scene analysis, we are operating in a stagnant market. Therefore, it's not too easy to diversify or to increase our revenues. That is why we are trying to diversify with the intention of generating some additional cash flows. The board firmly believes that diversification is the way forward and is currently exploring the possibility of expanding into the PC repair and servicing market. So we are a reseller at the moment, and we are trying to pursue a related diversification, which is about PC repairs and servicing, repairing and servicing PCs. So we are a reseller at the moment. We are trying to opt for a related diversification, which is tied to repairing and servicing PCs. The demand for affordable and reliable PC repair and servicing has been steadily rising in Lamland. So there's a good market for this. There's a good demand for this. And please refer to the attached news article for more details. So let's look at what appears within the reference material. The rise of PC repair and servicing in Lamland, a growing opportunity. And this is a news article taken from Langland Business Daily. In recent years, Lamland's technology market has undergone a quiet but significant shift. While sales of personal computers have remained static, the demand for affordable and reliable repair and servicing has grown rapidly. Many households and small organizations now prefer to maintain and extend the lives of their existing devices rather than purchase new ones, partly due to rising costs of hardware and growing environmental concerns about electronic waste. So consumers are concerned about the e-waste problem, and on top of that, the rising costs of hardware. So because of that, rather than purchasing new PCs, they opt to maintain or service their existing PCs and use it for a longer period of time. A variety of services are in demand, including routine diagnostics, hardware replacements, software support, and virus removal. The market works in different ways depending on the type of customer. For individual consumers, so let's look at what the individual consumers are looking at. Individual consumers prefer drop-off and walk-in repairs, with customers taking laptops or desktops to local high street shops or to repair desks within larger retail chains. So individual consumers are interested in drop-off and walk-in repairs. Okay, so remember, the individual consumers are interested in, with regards to servicing their or repairing their PCs, they are interested in a drop-off or walk-in option. Another widely used option is courier or mail-in repair. So there's some demand for couriering or mail-in repairs as well. Customers book the service online. Their device is collected from home or work, sent to a central repair center, and returned once the work is finished. So if you look at individual customers, some take their own PC to a repair point, or they book an appointment online. Therefore, the repairing company will collect the PC from your house or your company, and then they will fix your issues, and then they will return the repaired PCs to your home or your workplace. For organizations, so that's all about individual customers. Let's look at organizations. For organizations such as SMEs, schools, and charities, the standard practice is on-site servicing. So with regards to these type of customers, organizations, or with regards to B2B, business to business relationships, they opt for on-site servicing. So technicians visit the organization to work on multiple devices at once or to set up new equipment and networks. So there are site visits required if you are to go down this route and opt for B2B relationships. As technology continues to evolve and consumers look for sustainable and cost-effective solutions, demand for repair and servicing is expected to remain an important part of Lamland's IT sector in the years ahead. So the demand is supposed to further increase in the future. All right, so that's all your information. Let's look at what you are expected to achieve. In view of the above, I need you to draft a report to the board covering, firstly, identify and explain the business risks. So you are supposed to identify the business risks that can arise from entering this new line of business and suggest how they can be mitigated. So there are two elements concerning this requirement. Let's look at how you should structure your answer. So as per our answering technique, we are done with the first point or the first step rather. And the second step is to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a concise manner. So that's exactly what you can see in here. Risks of entering a new line of business and mitigation strategies. So there are two elements to this question. So we have tackled the second element as well. Then you are supposed to develop headings and subheadings. So the heading which is relevant for this requirement could be risk identification and mitigation. You are supposed to come up with a simple main heading. So this our suggested answer carries quite a long main heading. That does not mean that you should do so as well. You can come up with a simplified main heading. It should be, just remember, it should be in bold and underline format. So that's exactly what you can see within the answer plan as well. Business risks associated with entering the PC repair and service market and how to mitigate, or alternatively, you can come up with a simplified main heading which reads as business risks and mitigation strategies. All right. So that's the third step. And the fourth step is to develop the answer plan by dedicating 20 minutes of your time. And before you do so, you are supposed to determine mark allocations based on the weightages. So the weightage provided is 60%. So as you know, each section carries a total mark allocation of 37.5 marks. So 60% of 37.5 marks per section come up to 22.5 marks in total. Then you are supposed to determine how many points you should include in this answer to gain 22.5 marks. How are you supposed to, determine the number of points? First, divide 22.5 by 3. You get 7.5 or 8. Then again, divide 22.5 by 2. You get 11. So if you develop 8 to 11 valid points within this answer, you will get full marks. So now you know how many points you are supposed to include within the answer. and your next step is to develop the answer plan. All right, so let's look at how you should structure your answer. So in this question, your knowledge concerning risk identification and mitigation, which is contained within your P2 syllabus, is tested. However, as I mentioned earlier, 50% of the questions are intended to test your conceptual knowledge, and 50% of the questions are intended to test your application skills. And in this question, the examiner is testing your application skills. Why am I saying this? Because based on the information presented in this scenario as well as the reference material, you are supposed to identify our risk exposure and therefore come up with appropriate mitigatory strategies. So there is no way in which you can memorize the answer, because your answer is aligned with the information shared with you via this scenario. That is why I'm saying, stating the fact that the examiner intends to test your application skills via this type of a question. So I've considered 3 different risks which we are exposed to due to us diversifying into the PC repair and service market. So I've considered the operational risks, and also I've indicated the mitigation strategies to manage these operational risks. Along with it, I've considered data security risks as well. And again, I've indicated the mitigation strategies. Also, finally, I've considered the reputational risks and tied to it the mitigation strategies. All right, so let's look at the type of operational risks we are exposed to due to us diversifying into this market. So this new market operates through several delivery models. So there is a drop-off option, and there's courier-based repairs as well. And there's, when dealing with B2B clients, there is on-site servicing. So as I mentioned earlier, we are dealing with 2 main types of customers, individual customers, as well as organizations. When it comes to individual customers, some opt for a drop-off or walk-in repair solution, and the others opt for a courier or mail-in repair option. So there are 2 options. These options are mentioned in here. And with regards to our relationships which we are supposed to develop, if we go down this route with organizations opt for on-site servicing. Okay, so that's highlighted in here as well. So this market operates through several different delivery models, which therefore exposes us to operational risks. And why am I saying this? Because we don't have any experience in conducting these type of operations, because at the moment we are not involved with all these types of service provision. Instead, because we purchase computers or PCs from third parties, and we grade them internally, and we sell them to individual customers as well as corporates via our website. And we have our own a separate department which handles outbound logistics. And when it comes to these logistics services are handled by one single courier services provider or one single courier company. So we are not experienced in this drop-off, courier-based repairing, and on-site servicing. So we have limited experience, and therefore, if we go down this route, we will have to set up infrastructure which enables this business. And since we don't have any exposure in this area, it could be challenging for us, because we will have to rely on skilled technicians. We will have to set up a repair center. It could be one single repair center, or if you are planning on spreading this model across Lamland, then we will have to come up with various different repair centers, which exposes us to additional costs and operational complexities. And also, this leads to timely collections as well, because we have to collect and deliver back to customers. So all these things will expose us to additional complexities on top of what we do at the moment. And also, we have to handle returns as well. And any delay or inconsistency in each of these service areas will impact customer relationships, service quality, and if we are exposed to some type of delay or inefficiency, then the customers are going to be dissatisfied, which will impact our reputation in a negative manner. I'm going to talk about the reputational risks aligned with this logic in a little while. So the mitigatory strategies which we can implement to avoid these risks from materializing is to opt for a phased approach when it comes to going ahead with this diversification, rather than trying to do everything under the sun all of a sudden. It's better to opt for a phased approach, so that we get our bearings with this new business, with this new type of diversification, which enables us to avoid unnecessary inefficiencies which are created by the fact that we are going down this route for the first time. So we should go for a phased approach, and we should therefore decide on which customer segment we should satisfy. So rather than going for both B2B and B2C related client handling, it's better to either go for B2C first. Once we get our bearings, move on to B2B, or vice versa. So if we opt for B2C relationships first, we have to build on our existing courier logistics, because as I mentioned earlier, our logistics are handled by one single logistics provider, and they are only involved with delivering what the customers order via the website. They are not into collecting PCs from customers' premises. So the courier or the type of logistics services are going to be a bit different to that of what we do at the moment. So we have to build on our existing courier logistics. And at the same time, if we are to satisfy individual customers, we will have to establish centralized repair hubs, because irrespective of whether customers walk in to our premises, or irrespective of whether customers opt for mail-in repair, we will have to run our own repair hub. Or if we intend to offer our services throughout Lamland, we might have to come up with various different hubs, or put up various different hubs as well. So after we get our bearings, for instance, if we decide on satisfying the needs of B2C customers, after we get our bearings with it, then we can with these operations, then we can focus our attention towards satisfying B2B relationships. So if you look at B2B customers, these are organizations which opt for on-site repairs. So therefore, we need to build a team of trained field technicians who are well versed with carrying out on-site repairs, as well as we have to offer service level agreements or sign service level agreements between our company and any B2B client to ensure that there is a sound contract between us and another business entity, which ensures that we stick to our deal, our side of the deal, as well as the client will stick to on-time payments as well. And we should use pilot projects and refine processes before scaling operations. So let's assume we try to satisfy the needs of individual customers. If we are to do so, we will have to establish repair hubs. So rather than putting up multiple repair hubs, we can focus on one single city or a municipality within Lamland and try out this new concept, see whether it works, identify the type of hiccups we might encounter. And then once we get our bearings with managing one single repair hub, then we can think about expansion. So similarly, when dealing with B2B clients, we should focus on one single location and fulfill the needs of organizations which are contained within one single geographical location to get our bearings with this new model. And once we are satisfied with how we are running the business, then we can think about expansion. So first things first, with the intention of mitigating operational risk exposure, we have to opt for a phased approach. So we have to decide on whether we are going to satisfy the needs of B2C relationships or B2B relationships. And when implementing either of the options, we have to use pilot projects to get our bearings before we expand fully. All right, so that's the first risk. And then looking at the second type of risk, we are exposed to a data security risk. So as per the new business, this work involves handling equipment with sensitive business or personal data. And customers expect that the data always remains safe. And if data is lost or accessed inappropriately or not securely erased after repair, it exposes us to legal liability under GDPR or data protection regulations. And this in turn, if we are exposed to legal liabilities, we will have to make compensation payments to impacted customers. And on top of that, when we face all these type of problems, it leads to a loss of trust. And the existing customers who have never faced these type of data breaches or privacy breaches will end up distrusting us as well, which in turn leads to reputational risks in the future. So it's essential that we look at how we should manage our exposure to data security risk. If we do not consider these risks, if we are exposed to these type of data security and privacy related risks, we will be exposed to legal liabilities, compensation claims tied to these legal liabilities, along with us experiencing a loss of trust. So the mitigation strategies which we can use is the fact that we should develop strict data protection policies and implement them within our organization. And also we have to develop detailed operating procedures on how repairs and servicing should be conducted, because at the moment it appears that we are not doing this as a fully fledged business. But if we go down this route, definitely we have to come up with operating procedures concerning repairs and servicing, and also with the intention of ensuring that our staff members adhere to these policies and procedures. We have to train our staff members, develop protocols, come up with access controls, and monitor whether our internal employees are sticking to these controls which we intend to implement. And also we have to develop appropriate backups and certified data erasure software. We have to depend on this specialized software if we are to reduce our exposure to cybersecurity or data security or data privacy risks. And also our internal audit department should conduct regular audits and conduct spot checks of both technicians and processes to see whether our employees are adhering to these processes and standards on a daily basis. So these spot checks are essential, because if employees get to know that the internal audit department is going to conduct a test, then they will always adhere to these procedures. And this in turn will make sure that at all times they will be vigilant and make sure that they stick to these procedures which are intended to reduce our exposure to data security and privacy issues. And also we are exposed to reputational risks because PC repair and servicing is outside the core expertise of Ressett. As I mentioned earlier, we are doing this for the first time. And if repair or servicing work is not carried out correctly, this leads to customer dissatisfaction. And if service delivery is inconsistent, let's assume we go for B2B relationships, and there's a certain company which is, we can say, company A. So we fulfilled their needs 6 months back, and 6 months later they ask for our services once more, and a new team goes and carries out an on-site service, and the new team is not doing their job properly. And because of that, company A is dissatisfied with our services. They were initially satisfied with it 6 months back, but now they are dissatisfied with our services. So we can face these type of issues when going down this route. So if service delivery is inconsistent and if work takes longer than promised, it leads to customer dissatisfaction as well as negative reviews, and this impacts our brand image in a negative manner. So the mitigatory strategies which we can adopt is to recruit competent and experienced technicians, because if we do so, they will conduct repair work in the most efficient manner, and service delivery will be consistent, and on top of that, they will stick to the service level agreements. Therefore, they will conduct all servicing operations on due time. And we have to also invest in the latest diagnostic tools, repair equipment, and up-to-date software to make sure that we are not exposed to any issues tied to this business, by making sure that our employees have access to superior and up-to-date technology. And also we have to establish clear quality control procedures, which are intended to check whether our employees are adhering to the standards which we have implemented. And also we have to conduct transparent communication with customers with regards to progress, because if we face some type of an issue when running a business, not all customers will be satisfied. And if due to one of our faults or faults of our employees or a service team, one of our customers are dissatisfied, we have to engage with the dissatisfied party and openly communicate with this individual or the company, with the intention of making sure that we always keep the impacted or affected party informed of what we are doing to rectify the issues the customer has faced. So by doing so, even after something, even after the client is experiencing some type of inaccuracy, when the company or the individual knows for a fact that we are taking appropriate steps to mitigate these issues or fix these problems, then we are in a position to build customer loyalty in the long run, even after the customer faces some type of problem right now. Okay, so these are the three different risks which I've identified. And in order to reduce our risk exposure or to mitigate our risk exposure, I've come up with various different strategies. So you are supposed to develop the answer plan in this manner. So this is where all your planning takes place. So therefore, keep it simple in single line sentences or short sentences or bullet points. And once you're done with this answer plan, let's assume I don't have time to take you through the second part of the answer as well. So within 20 minutes, you are supposed to develop not just the answer plan of subtask A, you are supposed to look at or develop the answer plan concerning subtask B as well. Once you are done with the answer plans concerning all subtasks which appear within a section, then your final step should be to expand the answer plan. And when doing so, you are supposed to develop a paragraph per answer point. So that's exactly what you can see here. Focused on each point, I've developed a paragraph. So I've explained the operational risks in one single paragraph and mentioned the mitigation strategies in the second paragraph. And similarly, I've explained data security risk exposure as well as mitigation strategies, along with explaining reputational risks as well as mitigation strategies. All right, so this is how your final answer should look like. All right, so that's the answering and time management technique. I hope you gained a good understanding of what these two techniques are. And as I mentioned earlier, although I'm asking you to develop an answer plan within 20 minutes, you won't have the capability of doing so when you are attempting mock number 1. But with practice, you will significantly improve your capability to stick to our answering and time management technique. Because if you take steps to practice these two techniques, you will never run out of time. And at the same time, you are ensuring that you're developing answers which are well thought out. And when you come up with well thought out, well structured answers, you are going to get the most amount of marks at your real examination. So practice answering technique by attempting mock number 1, which can be accessed via TCS's exam platform. And those who adhere to our study plan, passed the exam comfortably. So that is why we achieved a 90% pass rate for the exams concerning the exams which happened in May 2025. We are still in the process of compiling the results concerning August 2025. Most of our students have been successful. We are extremely happy about what we achieved in the previous sitting as well. I will inform you guys about the pass rate next week once we have compiled all the results. So you can simply, I want to state the fact that you can achieve a similar feat. You can easily pass this examination if you stick to our structured study process, focus your attention towards attempting all the mock exams and conducting revision based on the same mock exams. All right, so having said that, I'm moving to a Q&A. So I'm going to pause the recording. If you have a question, you can drop us a message via the chat, or you can simply switch on your mic and have a chat with me. I'm going to pause the recording.